is your group different this year than last year? And how do you see outside versus slot for these guys? How do you fit this group together? Where will DeVonta play and so on?
Well, I think, first off, obviously you added DeVonta into the group, which is great. And the guys are doing a great job for us so far. It's, been jogged through tempo. There's not been any competitive periods. So it's hard to, completely gauge all of it. Even with the guys who are coming back, you're really just going against more of a scout team defense. So you're not necessarily doing competitive things, but just mentally, physically where they're at, you're able to see that. I think that's the biggest difference. Going from year one to year two and year two to year three, those are always the biggest jumps in my mind as far as players goes. And so from my group, basically everybody's going from one of those two places, right? So you do expect a jump. You do expect their mental capacity and their physical capacity to grow. So far it's been really good and just excited as far as just going through the guys and where they're going to play. We're moving guys around. I mean, I think obviously with a guy like Greg Ward, he's going to be primarily in the slot. A guy like JJ, you can move inside, you can move outside, and a lot of these Jalen, you can move inside and outside. Travis, you can move inside and outside. So we're just trying to piece the guys together and kind of go where do they fit in the grand scheme of things. But I think a lot of that'll play out during camp as far as where they all line up and just making sure that when we get out there, we got our best guys on the field.
Also, what was it like for you during the coaching transition? Not very many position coaches stayed. Were you thinking that would happen all along? Were you, not sure? What was that period like for you?
I tell you what, it was stressful. It was really stressful. Considering I moved in my house July 15th last year, and to think, that all of a sudden in mid-January that we might have to put this thing on the market and move was a little nerve-wracking for my family and my wife and my kids. They hadn't even met the kids in their school yet because they were still all virtual. So it was a little bit stressful to say the least. But I've known Nick from I did the Bill Walsh Minority Fellowship with Indianapolis a few years ago, and so I knew Nick. Obviously, worked with Kevin at A&M in 2017, so had a little familiarity with those guys, and I was able to talk with them and able to stay. So I was obviously fortunate, really happy, and excited. Nick's been a receiver coach in the past. He's really good. Kevin and I have worked together. We have a great working relationship, so it's been really good so far.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Ed, and then Dave Zangaro.
Hey, Aaron. I just want to ask you, last year you mentioned about Jalen Reagor maybe putting a little too much pressure on himself as a first-round draft pick. What have you noticed in him, if anything, as far as his mental approach goes, anything you've seen differently as far as his confidence level, anything like that coming into this OTA period?
Yeah, definitely. I think he's calmer. He's just letting his play speak for himself. He's always been a good worker. He's got a lot of talent. We know that. He's just doing the things that he needs to do to take care of himself. And I think that that's really important, and understanding that you have enough talent to be a really, really, really good player in this league. And you don't have to listen to anyone else but the people in this building and just in your family structure at home. And let's go play ball. And he's been very diligent about that, and I think it's shown in just his preparation. I was telling somebody yesterday, just kind of the understanding of the offense and understanding of the receiver play has been so much better, even just to this offseason. Just the questions he's asking are different, and that's good, and so I've been very pleased with him and just excited to see, where this next 6 weeks and how he trains, and then getting back here for camp and getting ready to roll.
Dave and then Martin.
Hey, Aaron, what did you like about DeVonta Smith as you evaluated him during the pre-draft process? And does his weight concern you at all?
There's so much to like about this guy. I had a little insight to him just because I recruited him coming out of high school and had a chance to visit his town and where he's from, and that background part of it, which is cool. And you knew what he was built with then. to watch his career flourish. You know, you see a guy catch the game-winning catch in the national championship game as a true freshman. That tells you all you need to know about somebody, to be honest. The game's not too big for him. And as he went on, all these years with you know, the different offenses and players they had, he always stuck out on tape. Even last year, as you were watching the guys, he stood out on tape. And you go back this year, watch what he did. You know, he just made plays from all over the field, different parts, inside, outside. You know, they motioned him and did, I mean, all kinds of different things. And you could tell, not only from the film, but after you get to talking to him in the pre-draft interviews, just how smart he is. And it wasn't challenging for him to move to all those different pieces. And that's something I know we value as an offense, is just being able to move around and having the fluidity to move inside to outside, from X to Z to F, and all those different positions. So, you know, and the guy is just very stoic. He loves football. He's a great worker, and just kind of excited to see the progression from rookie camp to OTAs into now moving forward in training camp. Excited to see you know, what these next few months hold for him.
How about the weight? Is that a legitimate concern in your eyes?
No, it's not. You know, you want to look at it on paper and you want to make it a concern, but you know, the SEC is as physical football as there is. In the NFL, we know there's grown men in this league. We know that, but it's physical football. There's physical corners. You know, both of the corners that were taken ahead of him in the draft, he played against, one every day in practice and the other one in games, and you know, you didn't see any issues. So, you know, obviously, you know, if we had a lot of concern, I don't think he'd be here right now. So we're just really excited about him and excited about him, you know, going on in this season.
Martin and then Chris Franklin.
Hi, Aaron. I wanted to ask you, you have, you know, a really young wide receiver room. I think Greg Ward is the oldest guy and he's 25. What's it like coaching such a young group? And also, if I can, on DeVonta, like, you know, being that he's, you know, a rookie and everything, like, has he been able to kind of take a leadership type of role just because of the youth of the room? I mean, how do you handle all that, basically? Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, Greg. So, I mean, Greg will be 26 in a couple weeks, and him being the oldest guy, it's almost like it's a young room. There's young energy, and that's the thing I tell them. We got to have energy. This room, you know, it can't be the old grumpy, you know, the old line guys who are older and they're going to be grumpy and walking around here and just, you know, we got to be the young energy of the room, of the offensive room. And when we're walking around, it smiles, it's juice all day. And the guys, they should have young, fresh legs, and they should be running around all day. We got guys that can run, guys that can catch, and we've got to be able to you know, just the consistency day in and day out is the thing with young players that you got to just continue to preach, and that's a really big thing. And as far as DeVonta's leadership role, he's not yet, you know, but it's there, it's in him. I think, you know, anybody that understands football, you guys do, I do, obviously you understand when you're a top 10 pick, there's something that comes with that as far as leadership, and guys are going to look up to you in the room, and if he plays well and does the things that we expect him to do, that's going to come. But it's in there naturally. The one thing that I've seen with DeVonta, I hope you guys have, from the first day he got here to now, how much kind of looser he's been, and he's kind of just been able to be himself. The room's embraced him. There hasn't been any, oh, you got picked and you might take my spot. It's just been, you know what, like, this guy's a good player. He's here to help our team, and I think that's allowed him to kind of come out of his shell and be himself probably quicker than he thought he was going to be able to. So, and obviously my familiarity with him and that's helped as well. But I've really come to appreciate who he is as a young man right now, and I think you guys will too as you get to know him.
Go ahead, Chris, and then Zach Berman.
Hey, Aaron, you guys didn't have 7 or 11s this past mini camp. How did it affect you, the receiving core, not going against the defense? And does that impact you guys when it comes to building the chemistry with Jalen Hurts, like especially in those scramble drills, seeing in the field where he's going to go in certain areas?
Yeah, I mean, those are things that we have to work on. You know, you can't, if you don't have those abilities to do it during this time of year, we didn't do it, we practice that. They'll get a lot of work at it. Training camp, we had a little more routes on air. That's some of the timing and things like that we were able to work on. But it's not live defense, and that's okay. You know, for a new offense, To be honest, getting the timing of the routes versus air, getting lined up and getting in the formations and getting our splits and getting our depth, that's very important. For me, having a young room, like that's super important. And understanding just being able to coach off of that is fine. And now that they've done that, to me, now there's no built-in excuses when we get to camp. It's go time, right? We've gone through it slow. Now it's time to take the kid gloves off and go fast, and it's time to roll once we get into training camp.
Zach and then Jimmy Kempski.
Hey, Aaron, good to see you. I guess with the benefit of time and hindsight now, what explanation do you have for what happened to Travis Fulgham in those final 2 months of the season? And did that 4-week stretch there give you enough of a sense of the type of player he is or can become?
Yeah, it's a good question. The 4 weeks showed me a lot, and it showed everybody a lot. And, you know, with that, it also comes with the responsibility of understanding that now defenses are going to start scheming towards you to stop you. And that for a young player, sometimes him understanding that it took a little bit, you know, and then a young player, he got nicked up a little bit and didn't complain, but he had to play through it. And as the season got going, it wore on him a little bit, and the guy has it. I mean, we saw it, right? We all saw it, and it's in there. And I'm looking forward to seeing Travis and what he does this year. I think that the guy, as you saw him progress last year, he kind of hit a little bit of a rut. We saw it and got out of it. And that was the thing to me that was so impressive was he didn't go, okay, I'm going to let this affect me completely. He got out, he started understanding what the responsibility was and what the expectation was, right? I mean, there's plenty of players in this league that have played 4 weeks and gone really well, and you don't hear from them for a while, right? And then understanding that is that what's going to define you, or is this something that's going to be who you are, or it's just going to be a little blip? And I think that if Travis can continue to grow physically, mentally, all those things, he can get himself to be that guy. And if he does, to be honest, our receiving core with Jalen and DeVonta, Travis, Greg can be really, really, really good.
Go ahead, Jimmy, and then Tim.
Hey, Aaron. Zach just stole my Travis Fulgham question, but just as a follow-up to that, his decline is maybe that's not the right way to put it, but sort of where he fell off coincided with the return of Alshon Jeffrey. Do you think, Alshon being inserted back into the lineup sort of stunted Travis's progress in any way?
I don't. I think that Travis, it was impeccable timing, to say the least. All right. But I've always been a guy where the best guy is going to play. I don't care if it's Travis Fulgham, who showed up here in the last week of training camp and started playing, or it's Alshon or any other guy. It was the best guy who's going to play. And as you look at each individual player from week to week, month to month, however, season to season, how football is a meritocracy. You play what you earn, and that is every player on the field. And I think that at the same time, Alshon was coming back from injury. He had been practicing for 3 or 4 weeks. You guys saw him out there, right? And just hadn't had a chance to play very much. And then as his injury started getting healthy, and as his injury started getting better and he started getting healthy, there was the ability to put him and Travis out there together. There was the ability to put them out there separately. And it was important for our football team to have the ability to do that. And I don't want to say it stunted Travis. I would say at the least of anything, which is good for Travis, it opened his eyes to, hey, look, like you better come out here and practice every day like your job's on the line, or else someone else can take your job. And I think as a young player, second-year player in the league, he was able to take that lesson. I hope he takes it and runs with it in year 3.
Thanks, Aaron.
We'll go to Tim and then John.
Yeah, Aaron, you mentioned that Reagor is doing a good job of listening to just people in-house and his family, things like that. Was it pretty evident last year that the noise on social media was having an impact on him? And what did you see in the way that he has kind of navigated past that?
Well, it's interesting. I don't think it had an impact on him, like on the field. I just think that he was reading it. And at some point, the more stuff you read, the worse off it is for you, because there's a lot of people that don't know anything on social media. And, it's like the old quote, like, don't take advice, or, don't listen to someone you never would take advice from. I mean, it's like kind of like you kind of had to reiterate that. Like, who cares what people are saying, right? I mean, at the end of the day, the people in this building, the people in your circle, those are the people that have your best interests at heart. And, and whether it affects your play, whether it affects this or that, like I said, I don't think it affected his play, but just, when you read that stuff just creeps into your head, whether you want to or not. And he's young. He's 21 years old last year during the season. The guy's a young guy. He wants to please the fans. He wants to please the coaches. He wants to please the team and all those things. And at some point, you gotta be playing for yourself and your team. And that's the most important thing. So that was kind of more of the message. Like I said, I don't think it affected him that way. But like I said, you start listening to everything, whether it's good or bad, it can affect you. And that's not just Jalen. That's every young player. They want to see their name on social media, and they kind of get off on that. And again, we all have egos, right? I mean, that's just life. You all have an ego, whether it's young players, whether it's you guys, whether it's us. We all want to be seen. We all want to be heard. We all want to think that our opinion matters more than the next guy. But in reality, you do your job the best of our ability, and it all takes care of itself.
All right, we have time for one more, and then we'll get Coach Johnson. So we'll end it here on John.
Hey, Aaron. Kind of in that same vein with JJ. Maybe not as overtly, but do you think he put a little bit too much on himself? Obviously, you were only with him for the second year, but have you seen growth there? Have you seen a similar sort of path?
Yeah, I have. And JJ caught some bad luck last year. He really did. And JJ was able to block out that noise last year, which was great for him mentally, and then he just caught the injury bug. It felt like every time he was doing good, he'd get back, he'd get dinged up. He came back and got dinged up again, and then all of a sudden you look and the season's over. So it was obviously JJ will be the first one to tell you that last year was not good, and but JJ's in a great place right now, playing good ball. He had a good 3 weeks here with us. Excited to see where JJ can put himself this year. And again, with the guys we have, with Quez and Hightower and JJ, Trav and G, and then obviously Jalen and DeVonta, I mean, this is a good room, and this is a young room, and they're going to be fighting their butt off for roster spots this year. And I think that's the best part of this thing is you're fighting for playing time, you're fighting for roster spots. That brings the best out of everybody. It brings the best out of them when it comes to the receiver room. It brings the best out of them when it comes to Coach Clay and the special teams. And every day you got to bring your A game, or else someone else will, and you might get bumped back a spot. So I'm excited. I'm excited about this room. I'm excited about what camp will bring for this room, and excited to let the guys kind of play this thing out and get themselves in great shape and go out there and fight their butt off for what they think is theirs. And the best guys are going to be here, and excited to see how this plays out.